Why devs fail at test-driven development. TDD. Uncle Bob. Hello, I'm Chris Thanis. I'm a KMP developer. TechSport said they're got the connector. They're going to be out on Tuesday, and all the complaints will close. I'll close all the tickets. All right, let's. Why devs fail at test-driven development with Uncle Bob? Which I have mixed feelings about this guy. Some stuff is right. Some stuff is like he's coming close, but then his solution is like, what are you talking about, man? All right, let's see what he has to say by why people used to not do TDD, which it's just basically. I mean, we're doing it. We're gonna be driving it. It's just we do the testing anyway because we have to run the thing to see if it works. Now we're just making an automated thing which will do the same thing. We have to think about that, right? That takes an extra step, and it has to be maintained, updated, readable, understandable for somebody else, and there's a whole cognitive load involved with that. So there's a time in the beginning of a project when you're doing probably trying to find product market fit where it may or may not make sense to do testing on your application. Maybe do the happy path so you can just keep going. If you have a team together or whatever, or you have a happy path test, but doing this full blown all the error conditions has to be done at a later date. Okay, the full failure mode, everything while you're still trying to market. Now, after you probably find product market fit, and you're starting to scale your audience, oh yeah, then you better rewrite that thing for tests. And you're gonna want to rewrite it anyway because this thing is so crufty from being abused and messed with and pivoted, and all the shortcuts you had to go along the way to get it working, which is legit. Everybody does this, but then you have to cut that. You have to say no. We're stopping this now, and now we're going to take that feature set without changing the feature set and rewriting it with all this stuff, which is going to take a lot faster than the last one because we know what we want to do. A lot of this problem with maintaining code is trying to maintain something that we didn't know what it was when we were building it, which is a Winchester house. It's like putting a Winchester house in production. It's like, no, we might build a Winchester house to understand the kinds of thing we want to build, and then we go build the thing with all the safety exits and modern plumbing, electrical appliances everywhere instead of random haphazard thing to keep your ghost husband alive and happy. Let's keep going.
If you decide one day that you are going to do test-driven development at work, you will fail. You will fail spectacularly.
Why does he say that? Man, I don't know why he keeps doing this thing. Why?
If you decide
Bob?
one day that you are going to do test-driven development at work, you will fail.
Why?
You will fail spectacularly.
Why he's so confident with? He's like, oh, we will. Oh, actually, so I've been went to a conference and with all my buddies, all my pals that came in, and we went to your conference, your training, and now we're gonna do TDD, and you're saying we're gonna fail? Damn, that's a real. Uncle Bob, are you sure you know what you're saying there, buddy? Let's keep going.
Enough to convince yourself to never do test-driven development again. The reason for this is that test-driven development is a rather significant skill.
Well, it's not a skill. It's more of a it's a something you have to pay attention to. It's a interest time sync. It's a different way to think about your problem as opposed to like trying to figure out the solution to your problem. Now you're trying to share your solution with somebody else and make sure it's working as advertised as we're going through that process. So it's not really a skill. It's more like, what are we paying attention to? What's the important thing that we're paying attention to? In the phase one, when you're trying to find product market fit, you don't want to mess with this TDD or like minimal TDD because you don't even know if that code. We're going to throw this code away. We're just trying to find if there's something even here. And then once we find something here, then you put all this crazy TD, not crazy, but all this TD type stuff and usability, maintainability, readability, debuggable, monitorable, all that stuff that's super expensive eventually gets super expensive because of people try and put their MVP into production or their prototype into production or the proof of concept in production. Okay, so go.
It takes months to get enough skill to bring it to work safely.
I don't even know what that means. So I think this is, again, my theory is this is just a sales pitch. This is just Uncle Bob pitching his services, his book, his conference, his developer revamp weekend, his month-long transformation. I think that's what he's doing here. Let's keep going.
So you can't
because he's talking about the skill, but it's really just intention. The thing is, you're just doing calling functions with parameters. Oh, it's more. The thing is, it's like if that thing's testable because you've designed it to be testable, because you paid attention to that. We've already split the thing up in all the because we already through the product market fit. Now we know how things are going to be split up and where things need to be scaled, what needs to be separated out, what could be kept inside, what needs to be synchronous, what could be asynchronous. All that kind of junk is already figured out. Now we're going to do all the monitoring, making sure it's stable. Instead of having the 5,000 users, we're going to go to 50,000 or 100,000 or 500,000. And we got to be a little more careful with how this thing works. And once that thing is all tuned up, and you can have, a different set of different team people doing the tuning up part of it and making sure it runs performantly so we can do F1 racing. Or long haul trucking. We're designing the truck here, then we're doing the long haul trucking, so we need to tune in everything, right? So they can be it's a different mindset, different tool set, and those other people who are doing the feature product market fit, they can go off and still move features or try new things. It's usually a different set, different type of team that wants to do the exploration stuff versus the refinement stuff. They're usually a different mindset. Let's keep going.
cannot just leap in one day and say, you know what, we're doing test-driven development and all of us are doing test-driven development, because it will be probably the worst week of your life. What you have to do is learn the skill externally. Now, how are you going to do that? How are you going to learn the skill externally? Well, maybe you can have lunchtime meetings where you practice this kind
Bob, are you doing a sales pitch on us, Bob?
of thing, or maybe you can just at lunch by yourself open up your laptop and do a little exercise. There's loads and loads of exercises out there.
I don't think that's useful. I don't know if that's useful. I mean, saying somebody, just getting the idea of what you're doing, you're just calling your functions with the parameters and making sure the inputs meet the outputs. It's not this big mysterious thing, man. Gotta take some exercises and skill out. It's like, no, you can do it on your own stuff. And not all your application even needs to do it. Like on Android stuff, I mean, we're doing the UI screenshot stuff. I think that's the way to do the UI testing as opposed to all this damn scripting, which can change every 5 seconds. And also the network call stuff to make sure the stuff that's coming from the network is going to the database right. I mean, I think that's kind of useful. But other than that, I mean, it's like I'm not gonna test all my stuff. Like, I just don't know if that's useful. It's super hard to maintain that stuff. But it's basically testing the implementation, and I don't know how useful that is. But like doing happy path stuff and maybe some unhappy path with screenshot testing, I think is a good approach. But he never talks about that. Bob never mentions it. It's like this whole area of computing and software development, the UI stuff, and he never mentions it. He just assumes you're doing back end work. It's like, man, that's not everybody, dude.
That you can do. You can go search for code katas and TDD exercises.
Okay.
There's tons of them. And you should probably work them when you've got some spare time. Maybe you'll
I mean, watching a video once or twice and then doing it on your own project, okay, maybe once. But once you understand the idea, it's just you're testing your API, you're testing the interface that you put together, and making sure, also documenting it, and also showing how it should be used and what's intended for it, and what's expected and what's not expected.
even do this at home.
a few cases of the unhappy path with the not expected stuff, like all the error conditions, but going through all the cyclometric complexity, I don't know. Maybe the AI will help out with that kind of stuff and just go through it. It'll actually calculate all the psychrometrics. But even then, it's like, is it going to maintain that shit? I haven't seen the AI that does the maintenance of these damn things. It's always, I can write it. Yeah, but then I got to read it, understand it, know if I can delete it, if it's fit for purpose, if you're just testing the damn database. If you're testing the database library, okay. I mean, that doesn't make sense. Do we really just test the database library, or can we just have a flat file RAM thing that we can put our stuff in and we don't worry about testing the database? Because, man, I've seen some of these code bases, they're testing the libraries that they're involved with. It's like, you're missing the point, guys. Let's keep going.
Home. Professionals often take work home and work at home. Maybe you've...
Again, Bob, you're saying we have to do 60 hours a week. I mean, do you do 60 hours a week, Bob, every week? Is this your life? Let's keep going.
got the time to do that. I hope you do. But
yeah, I hope everyone does, Bob. After working 60 hours, they're going to do some more stuff like this. Come on, Bob, stop.
do not take it to work and think you're going to make it work there.
Okay. Why?
Learn it well first.
Calling functions? Seeing if the inputs and outputs match? I mean, okay.
Get good at it. Know that you...
How do you get good at it unless you have a motivation to apply it? Who is this? Who is this for?
You are good at it, and then bring it to work. And you will find it to be very, very rewarding at work
Sales
once you're
pitch.
good at it. There are
Sales
lots of
pitch.
techniques that you need to learn, lots of strategies that you need to learn. It is
Really? Calling your own functions? And seeing if the inputs and outputs match? And how people might use this thing? Other people, not you? With that interface, you want to just show, like, here's some examples how something's supposed to work. Bob.
is not an insignificant skill.
Oh my God. He talks about it like it's this one thing you can, just one neat trick, this 5 easy steps. This is the part that I don't like about Bob. This is the part that annoys me. He's like, and everybody's like, yeah, I want to learn all of the neat little tricks, Bob. How much is your book? How much is your weekend transformation? How much is your conference? How much is your one-on-one tutoring? All right, give me a like and subscribe, and I'll continue my ranting. Uncle Bob. No, not that one. This one.